Smart defense is a new way of looking at how we can, as an alliance, develop better capabilities at an affordable cost. Multinational cooperation is very much at the heart of smart defense. So these are the three main components of the smart defense agenda: multinational cooperation, specialization, and prioritization of our defense spend. It's learning by doing smart defense through a range of very concrete, practical projects that are currently being discussed by nations. And we assess that we will have a first batch of about 25 projects that groups of nations will be ready to lead, starting at the Chicago summit. So these projects provide really the practical, pragmatic foundation of the smart defense agenda. We see the Chicago summit really the start of smart defense rather than an endpoint. For instance, there is a project led by Italy to acquire, with a group of nations, new capabilities to clear routes from roadside bombs and other improvised explosive devices. That is a lesson learned from Afghanistan. We know how important that is. And so we want to use state-of-the-art technology to do just that with a group of nations. So that is one example of a new capability. We also have projects that deal with logistics and maintenance, optimizing the maintenance of helicopters, for instance, when they are deployed, like in Afghanistan, rather than organizing this at national level. Each and every nation has its own tradition, its own military culture, but also its own defense industry, its own strengths. Some nations are more oriented towards the maritime domain, others have more focus on land forces and so on. But we have a project led by Germany on pooling and sharing of maritime patrol aircraft. This is a shortfall area in the alliance. Several nations do have those capabilities on an individual basis, but by putting them together, you have a more interesting batch of capabilities, a more important capability, and more flexibility in using those capabilities. It's important to understand that NATO itself does not buy capabilities itself. There are some exceptions to that, but generally speaking, the capabilities are provided by the nations. So the initial phase of our smart defense approach was almost completely focused on getting national buy-in, but to better understand what nations want, what they expect from the smart defense initiative. There is a very strong focus on building it bottom-up. On the other hand, we don't want this to become, and no nations do not want this to become, an exercise in coalitions of the willing, where you have small groups of nations who do different things together without any form of coordination. So what NATO tries to do is to provide this overarching framework. It will be difficult to have a 100% solution to that, because at the end of the day, nations will always have their say on the capabilities that they own. They own either as a national capability or as a multinational capability. But what we are looking at is what kind of incentives can we provide the nations to make those capabilities available? What kind of mechanisms, flexible mechanisms, can we put in place so to enhance the availability of those critical enabling capabilities? We see industry as a key partner in the smart defense initiative. The industry is confronted with a decline in defense budgets throughout Europe, and the market is shrinking. And I think the industry will also see that through NATO they can approach groups of nations rather than going to those nations individually. And I think that is certainly an advantage that the industry will recognize in the smart defense initiative. I think because the conditions are different. There is clearly the economic crisis that can be seen as an impetus for working together more intensively, more than was the case in the past. National budgets are reduced. All our operations are multinational in nature. Our soldiers are deployed in multinational units. So it makes no sense, really, to develop capabilities purely at a national level. It's one thing buying the capabilities, it's another thing using them and connecting the capabilities of the allied forces. So I think both from the economic perspective, from the operational perspective as well, this is actually no longer a policy option, it's a sheer necessity.